America just got confirmation of something that we've always feared but never thought would be said out loud. Kayleigh McEnany herself sat there stunned by evidence that the FBI didn't just stumble, they hid critical details. And they had Charlie Kirk in their sights all along. Guys, whistleblowers now confirm a shadow FBI operation, Arctic Frost, targeting 92 conservative groups. And right there on that list, Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA. Then Charlie Kirk is gunned down, and suddenly the official story doesn't line up. Photos hidden from the FBI director for 12 hours, a press conference where Kash Patel looked like a deer in the headlights, and the media, ABC's calling the assassin's texts touching, CNN claiming no motive even after Robinson's own words say it all. I had enough of his hatred. Wow. Now today, guys, we're going to go ahead and expose everything, the cover-ups, the contradictions, the chilling possibility that a shadow faction inside of our own FBI was running an op that put Kirk and maybe even dozens of others directly in the crosshairs. And when Kayleigh McEnany heard directly what was going on, the spin, her words echoed what millions of us have already felt. I couldn't believe this. Now, hit the like button, subscribe, guys. Buckle up, because what I'm about to lay out is not just speculation. It's not rumor. It actually comes straight from the whistleblowers' records exposed by Senator Chuck Grassley. These records confirm the existence of an FBI case codenamed Arctic Frost. And according to those records, the FBI wasn't just sniffing around some elections or investigating a narrow case. No, Arctic Frost ballooned into a full-scale operation that targeted 92 Republican groups and individuals. 92. Now, let me make this crystal clear. These weren't random organizations. They weren't broad national sweeps. Every single one was Republican linked. The Republican National Committee, the Republican Attorney General Association, Trump political groups, and sitting right there on that list, Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk's organization. Think about that, okay? A whistleblower document that names Turning Point USA in a federal investigative sweep, and then months later, Charlie Kirk is gunned down? Now, you tell me, guys, is that a coincidence? Or are we staring at a roadmap? A roadmap that shows us exactly how the Bureau's crosshairs were already trained on Kirk and his allies long before the first shot was ever fired. Oh, and then we got to get to the second piece. This is the one that really makes your hair stand up on the back of your neck. The text. According to the prosecutors, Tyler Robinson admitted what he was doing in writing, okay, to his roommate. He said, "I've had enough of his hatred." That's what he said. That's motive in plain English. No media filter required. And so here's the kicker. The roommate, Lance Twiggs, was in some kind of a close personal relationship with Robinson. That detail got twisted in the headlines about love, about intimacy, as if that somehow softens the reality that a man admitted to cold blood murder. So the facts are here, guys. We have whistleblower records showing an FBI program that politically targeted conservatives, including Kirk's own organization, and we have prosecutors showing Robinson's own words explaining his motive. That's two hard facts that tie together in one chilling picture. Kirk was in the Bureau's files, and Kirk was in Robinson's sights. So I got to ask you guys, if you're watching the show right now, let me know where you're watching from. But why were there two facts, the FBI's target list and Robinson's written motive, downplayed? Why did they downplay that? Why did the public hear excuses instead of the full truth? Freedom in retirement means more than hobbies or travel. It means freedom from worry. But the wrong Medicare plan, it keeps you chained to stress and bills. This is exactly why I partnered with Chapter, folks. They give people the confidence to enjoy retirement without fearing about what their Medicare plan will or will not cover. Now, one of our viewers said to me, for the first time, I felt like my Medicare plan wasn't limiting me, it was protecting me. So let me ask you, are you ready for freedom? Or will you just stay stuck while most people move forward? Now, most people, they're already calling the phone number down below on your screen down there, or they're visiting askchapter.org/Ron. I left a link for you guys down below. The phone number is 909-563-8279. Now, here's where it gets even worse. Not because of what the killer said, but because of what the media chose to say about it. ABC's Matt Gutman, he went live and he called those text messages. He called them touching. Now, think about that for a moment, okay? A confessed assassin admits in writing that he pulled the trigger because of hatred, and a national reporter looks at those same words and calls them touching. That's not journalism. That's moral rot. And it didn't stop there. Montel Williams, he took to the airwaves and he insisted that this wasn't about politics at all. Anybody ever watch Montel Williams anymore? I didn't even realize that this guy was still on the air. But no, he said Tyler Robinson was just a love-torn child, a kid caught in his first relationship, emotionally stunned, defending his significant other. It's unbelievable. That's the narrative that he spun. Forget the texts, forget the prosecutors, forget the fact that a conservative leader was left for dead. No, to them, it was just a sad love story. It's sick, right? So Kayleigh McEnany's reaction summed up what millions of Americans felt. I could not believe this. And she was right, because how do you ever apply the words touching or love to cold-blooded murder? How do you rush to humanize the killer while ignoring the blood on the floor and the voice silenced forever? That's the double standard that we're living in. Sympathy for the assassin, spin for the networks, and nothing but contempt for the victim. But as bad as the media spin is, the story inside the FBI might actually be worse than that. Multiple reports confirmed that agents concealed a photo of the suspect from Director Kash Patel for 12 hours. 12 hours, guys. The head of the FBI left blind while evidence sat hidden. Why? Who made this call? And who were they protecting is the real question. So when Kash Patel finally appeared at a press conference, he looked like a deer in the headlights. No answers, no authority, just confusion. And then came the Twitter fiasco, okay? A post announcing the suspect was in custody only to retract it the next day. Chaos on the inside, chaos on the outside. And after that disaster, Kash Patel reportedly unloaded on a conference call with more than 200 FBI personnel telling them he would no longer tolerate any more Mickey Mouse operations. But let me ask you guys, if the director himself can't trust his own agents not to hide evidence from him, then who's actually running the bureau? Who's calling the shots there? Because it don't seem like it's Kash Patel. So this isn't just incompetence. This feels like sabotage, and sabotage from the inside is the most dangerous threat of all. Now, if you thought that the concealment fiasco was bad enough, the cracks inside the FBI are even deeper. Just hours before Kirk's shooting, Director Kash Patel was slapped with an explosive federal lawsuit. 3 former FBI leaders filed claims saying that they were purged because they refused to carry out political errands. That's the charge on paper. They're alleging Patel, working with Trump's allies, pushed them out for not falling in line. Now, whether those claims hold up in court is another question, but the fact remains the Bureau is eating itself alive. I mean, we got whistleblowers exposing shadow ops like Arctic Frost. We've got lawsuits alleging politically motivated purges, and we've got senior staff turning on their own director. That's not enforcement stability. That is a civil war inside the FBI. And so the FBI chief of Salt Lake City, right before the Kirk shooting, okay, this is wild, right? So then came the Utah shakeup. Kash Patel fired the FBI chief of Salt Lake City right before Kirk's shooting. Critics are saying that the timing was suspicious. Supporters countered that her resume was inflated, that she was more focused on diversity ads than real police work. Whatever the truth is, the optics are radioactive. Firing a regional FBI head just before one of the most politically explosive assassinations in modern history, that's not a coincidence that you can just kind of sweep under the rug. Now, I want to shift to the media again, because while these prosecutors and Robinson's own mother confirmed his radical leftward turn, certain outlets pretended the motive didn't exist. CNN's Caitlin Collins, I know, a real shocker, right? She stood in front of the cameras and said, "We don't have a motive yet." Really? The man's own text message said, "I've had enough of his hatred." Prosecutors read it in open court. His mother said he became more political, more pro-LGBTQ, and more anti-conservative. That's not speculative. Those are facts that are presented by officials. And yet the press wanted to bury it. They wanted to stall. They wanted to buy time. Why? Because acknowledging the motive meant acknowledging that Charlie Kirk was targeted not just by a man with a gun, but by an ideology that's been coddled, protected, and accused by the very institutions meant to keep us safe. So here we are, guys, an FBI divided against itself, media outlets in open denial of documented facts, and a grieving conservative movement told to just sit down and shut up. That's not journalism. That is not justice. That is narrative control. So I want to go ahead and pull back the lens just for a second, because this isn't just about one operation, one shooting, or one bad press conference. This fits a pattern. Think back to Russiagate. fabricated dossiers, weaponized surveillance, and years of political warfare disguised as intelligence. Think about the FBI burying whistleblower reports that didn't fit the narrative. And now whistleblowers are saying Arctic Frost didn't just target Donald Trump, it targeted 92 Republican groups. 92. The pattern is crystal clear. The Bureau wasn't acting as neutral law enforcement. It was acting as a political weapon. That's where the phrase shadow FBI comes into play. Because what good is a director, any director, if rogue elements, sleeper cells, and holdovers are still pulling the levers in the dark? You know what I'm saying, guys? Like, who are these people loyal to? If they're not listening to Kash Patel, who are they listening to? Are they loyal to the United States? Or are they entrenched bureaucracy that's been fighting tooth and nail to protect its own power? Now, Senator Grassley warned about this openly. He said Arctic Frost was opened and expanded under anti-Trump FBI leadership. And then he asked the question that nobody in the media wants to touch. How many of these operatives are still there? How many are still running their own agendas under the radar, waiting for their moment to strike? Now that brings us to today. President Donald J. Trump, the president of the United States, he was elected on the promise of cleaning house, draining the swamp, and ripping the mask off the corrupt machinery. And yet, even under his watch, we're watching deep state resistance play out in real time. Biden-era holdovers haven't disappeared. They've burrowed into agencies, slow-walking reforms, leaking to friendly journalists and sabotaging from within. That's why we still see chaos inside the FBI. This is why we still see lawsuits and purges. This is why, even in Trump's second term, whistleblowers they're the ones that are doing the heavy lifting to get the truth out. So let me ask you this. If this kind of shadow operation can survive in 2025 with Trump back in the Oval Office, what does that tell you about how bad it really was under Biden? Like, if this is the level of rot that's exposed today, how much darker were the games being played 2, 3, even 5 years ago when the Democrats controlled the levers of power completely? Ninth, let's be honest, guys. The shooting of Charlie Kirk was not just a tragedy. It was a turning point. For millions of Americans, it ripped the veil completely off, and it showed just how fragile our system really is. One of the most outspoken conservative leaders in the country ends up in the crosshairs, and suddenly every warning about politicized agencies doesn't sound like a theory anymore. It feels like reality. Because here's the truth. Kirk's assassination was not just about silencing a man. It was about sending a message. And that message is chilling. If the institutions can't be trusted, then anybody who dares stand up could be next. It made Americans ask the question out loud. What else are they hiding? Who else is on this list? And the question isn't comforting. Whistleblowers already told us 92 Republican groups, 92, okay? Do you really think Charlie Kirk was the only one in danger? The call to action, guys. Kayleigh McEnany, she said it best. I could not believe this. And that disbelief is exactly what millions of us feel, because we deserve a government that serves the people, not shadow operations that pick and choose targets based on politics. So here's where we stand. We have to demand answers, demand to see the full Arctic Frost file, demand accountability for the 12-hour concealment of evidence, demand to know why media figures downplayed the motive when prosecutors had it in black and white, and demand to know whether rogue FBI operatives are still in place, sabotaging from the inside. Because here's the closing shockwave. If Charlie Kirk can be targeted, if 92 conservative groups can be swept up in a shadow FBI op, then none of us are truly safe from the machinery of a politicized state. This is way bigger than one case, guys. This is about the survival of justice itself. And if we stay silent now, we risk losing more than a single leader. We risk losing the very idea of America. So stay alert, stay loud. Don't forget, the fight for truth and freedom doesn't end with exposing Arctic Frost. It just begins there. Like this video, share it, leave your comment down below. Do you believe the FBI has been fully purged, or do you think that the shadow still runs deeper than anybody's willing to admit? Y'all let me know. As always, stay strong, stay watchful, stay free.